Kris, why did you pack up your family and move to small town Alberta? I'd love to hear this story.
Great question. And it's great to actually see you in person. Insider tip, I've gotten mistaken for Sheila now 3 times since I've been in Alberta. So that was pretty cool. I took it as a compliment. So there's many reasons. One, I've got a lot of roots here in Alberta. My family worked in the oil patch back in the 70s and 80s before it was nuked by the first Trudeau, much similar to your experience with your family, Sheila. Also, I've got roots here around Stettler and Sundre and Bergen. They actually manage a lot of the rodeo stock for the Calgary Stampede. So lots of folks and kinfolk there. Also, it's currently our speed for our family. To borrow a phrase from Pierre Poliver, the government of British Columbia had gotten real big and really bossy. And that's not my speed at all. And the affordability factor is huge. They were selling tear down houses. I mean, buy it, knock it down into the ground for more than $800,000 in Hope. So that's my hometown where I grew up as a little kid. It's about 2 hours outside of Vancouver. Pretty little town, 4,000 people in it, but it's not exactly an easy commute. $800,000. They sold this house and they ripped it down. I went, you know what? We just can't do this anymore. So we packed up, and thank goodness the Taxpayers Federation had a role for me here in Alberta, and we moved here in July.
Now, you really have hit the ground running. Like, to talk to you, you've been here forever, and you are really do sort of understand where we're coming from with regard to our disputes with the federal government and feeling as though we're being treated unfairly within Confederation. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, you wrote a really excellent article breaking down why Albertans like you feel like we're getting a raw deal from the federal government.
Yeah, we are getting a super raw deal from the federal government, and Albertans have every right to be angry. It's not a figment of your imagination. So I wrote that for many reasons. One, because as a very proud Western Canadian, again, I've always lived in rural Western Canada, except for when I worked on Parliament Hill, and we were out in Ottawa for more than 15 years. And that brought up my reason for writing it. I worked with so many people, hardworking, interesting folks, intelligent, kind, sensitive types in Ottawa, on Parliament Hill, in journalism, in newsrooms. And to hear them still like not getting it, like not understanding, hey, what's all the fuss about Alberta? What's the big deal with you guys? I felt that I needed to write it out in 5 main points. So I tried to articulate it from the Canadian taxpayers' perspective as best we could, including things like the fact that we're getting ripped off on equalization, that we're paying the highest carbon taxes after the rebates of any province in Canada, and the gun grab. The recent expansion of Bill C-21 is crazy pants because we have got the highest per capita firearms ownership, as you know, here in Alberta. I think it was more than 300,000 registered gun owners here in this province. It's a major part of our culture, and it just wasn't getting through to the halls of power in Ottawa. And so that is why I wrote that for the Sun media chain. And hopefully some folks are taking some notes from it and they'll start listening a bit better.
Yeah. You know, when I look at the gun ban, as a gun owner, of course, I'm personally affected by it.
Me too.
Yeah. But there's a certain level of bigotry, I think, against Westerners, against rural people, that we are being scapegoated for the crimes and the failings of progressive policies in Canada's big cities. But it speaks to the bubble in which these politicians are operating, because as you point out, 300,000 plus registered firearms owners here in Alberta. We disproportionately bump the numbers of gun owners up in Canada because there's, I think it's like 2.2 million licensed firearms owners in the country. And by and large, per capita, a vast majority of those come from Alberta. And it's truly an attack on our property rights, but also Western culture.
Yeah, for sure. For folks who are listening to this, if for some reason, if you don't understand firearms culture, you probably do. They're tools in the hands of legal, law-abiding gun owners. I'm not talking about gangbangers with stolen handguns. It's a completely different world. For those of us who are legal firearms owners, it's like owning a chainsaw, or a snowmobile, like both could be potentially dangerous in the wrong hands. So
or my golf
clubs.
clubs. That's still like, that's a hobby. I'm not great at it. I can bludgeon you to death with it.
You could.
but it's a thing I like to do. It's a sport that I like to do.
Exactly. And so with firearms, sure. Yeah, they're a powerful thing and you need to be super responsible when you own them. And if there's one character attribute I would say that is consistent across all legal law abiding firearms owners, it is that they're super rules based. Like they're really uptight, let's tick all of our boxes type people.
Oh, hey, what you just saw there is a clip from my weekly full-length show, The Gunn Show. It airs on Wednesday, but this is the internet. You can watch it whenever you feel like. You just have to become a subscriber to our paywalled premium content. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com to become a member today.